Hey everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello.
And we've just watched the Red Dead 2 gameplay trailer thingy bob. So there's quite a lot of stuff to break down. I think I've got about 12 different things, but we'll see how we go. First up is the new shooting mechanics. Now this was detailed in the hands-on reports from the likes of Kotaku and other people who got to go hands-on with the game, but you already know about this as well.
Yeah.
Rockstar have changed the way that guns handle in the new game. You no longer just press one button to fire a bullet. You have to then, well, you do fire the initial bullet, you then press the same button to cock the hammer to be prepared for the next shot.
Yes.
So every bullet, every shot has to be double tapped. Same when you're reloading. You have to hit the reload button to load every shell into the chamber. You can see this in the gameplay video because the little reticule is going smaller, indicating that that's ready for you to fire the next shot. What's your reaction to changing such a
why
thing?
would you just want one button to shoot, eh? Why does it need to be more complex? No,
Just,
I'm just being a little bit facetious. It does add a bit more sort of depth to the combat. It reminds me a little bit, not quite the same, but a Gears of War's active reload system. Where it's just an added little mechanic there that makes gunfights more sort of, I don't know, it increases the risk reward. If you're trying to get that double tap perfect to shoot it off. And it's entirely in line with Rockstar's ethos of animation first, so making you do every little thing to increase immersion in the world.
It reminds me, because it's not in the new gameplay thing, but it's worth talking about the new loadout system as well. This isn't something that they highlighted, but you can only have one pistol and one rifle on you at any given time.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're putting a lot of weight and consequence and tactility behind how you approach gunfights. So if you're going into some massive fight, you're gonna have to really think about the firing rate of your gun and being able to manually control loading the next round in, and I guess it'll make gunfights way more impactful or important each time.
Yeah, it sort of makes them feel weightier, because this is sort of just a natural extension on what they had in Max Payne 3, where that was very animation heavy. You could only carry the guns you could literally carry, so you had a rifle in one hand and sort of pistol in the other, and you were swapping between them, and that made gunfights, like you said, more tactile, more weighty. It's a very specific combat system that not everyone's going to like, because it's not sort of the most intuitive, but it feels really good.
I cannot stress how much the whole world should go play Max Payne 3.
Oh, yes.
Me and you are both big fans, and everyone else should be too. So they showed a lot of different interacting with the world stuff. We saw Arthur Morgan, who's the new character, washing himself down after a hard day's killing.
Who doesn't?
And going to this, burlesque show. I don't know the word for stage productions, but he goes to a place and he sees some people doing some stuff. And
it was just theatre, mate. It was
theatre's the word, isn't it? It's not always with the boobs and that, but that's where he was. And in the first game, you could go to a makeshift cinema. It was the nearest thing they had to the moving pictures back then. But they highlighted a whole range of activities. It seems like there's prostitution. You can go get cleaned. You can go visit different things, and all of this points to the new way that they're controlling all of this, which is a dedicated button. It's L2.
Yeah.
So obviously, standard L2 is your aiming button, but if your gun is holstered and you aim at anything, you get a nice little contextual menu which lets you interact with a bunch of different things and people, contextually. So if you're going to a shop and you want to rob someone, that's how you do that kind of thing. Or if you want to just romance the ladies, which Josh Brown always does, hey, then there's that. And so the way that they showed that off in here was just the sheer array of activities and rolling them together so that one animation goes into the next one. You're always just going into dynamic scenarios and figuring things out as and when.
Which is great. I like that you have an essentially dedicated world button that lets you interact with it, like you said. Already in this trailer, I'm pointing out the activities that I know I'm going to do, in which I am going to avoid. Because we had similar things in Grand Theft Auto 5, you go to the movies and that, and I never did. No. Maybe it was good.
Who did? Who does these things? Rockstar put them in all their games and no one cares.
But some things do make sense, like even getting a bath or cutting your hair, because if I'm correct, your hair and beard grows in real time in this game. So you have to go to get it cut off, you have to get washed. And you don't want to do that, like you said, after a hard day killing. Who doesn't want to get clean?
It reminds me of two other high-profile games that did similar things. The Witcher 3 had Geralt's hair grow in semi-real time. You could get him with a nice big beard. Metal Gear Solid 5 had the shower mechanic as well, where if you got too dirty, then Snake would just have flies around him. In this, it seems like actual NPCs will react to you, like Fable style, and won't actually talk to you as much if you're too dirty. Daniel Dwyer mentioned in his no-clip preview, his hands-on thing, that he tried to jack someone's horse, not in that way, and he was about to get on, and the horse kicked him down into the mud, which meant that he was then covered in mud, and that affected the way that the whole city then reacted to the way that he was walking around. So all that stuff, again, seems to tie together.
Yeah, a lot of those things could be sort of just stuff you don't want to do. It could sort of bring it to a halt. But I think the way Rockstar's going about it, it's very sort of organic and natural in this world that you'll sort of want to, because it won't feel like just busy work. It'll feel like you're actually inhabiting this role in this world.
And I hope that the more I try to jack horses, it doesn't always result in me being covered in mud.
Why do you keep doing this, man? Every single game, even if you can't do it, you're there trying to jack horses.
Sometimes you just got to try. So another thing that they detailed was the new Deadeye mode, which already had 3 levels in the first game that you jacked all. I'm using the word
Whoa,
jack
he's
now.
back again.
Jacked all the way up to unlocking the ability to put custom markers on wherever you want, and press a button, you'll shoot every single person. Now there's like a organ targeting thing.
Yeah.
They called it, like, they had a specific name for it, but it was like you could see the innards of different people, so you can shoot hearts, lungs, different bones. There was another bit where he targeted what looked like, I don't know, some dynamite or something underneath like a horse and carriage, and blew all that up as well. So they've said that you'll rank up Deadeye across the game, which, you know, by the time you get to the end of it, you're going to be blasting lungs and limbs alike.
Again, going back to Max Payne, it sort of reminds me of the precision shooting and that, where every sort of bullet had its own kind of physics, essentially, and where you hit the person, it would react like realistically, and it's just that with organs that you can explode, which is great.
I think they've put a lot of time and effort into the whole ballistics modeling, the physics-based stuff of shooting. If you go to Max Payne 3, it's nigh on one of the best third-person shooters ever made, because they do make a point of modeling every individual bullet, chamber, everything. So yeah, that factors into the new dual wielding, which, like, we've seen dual wielding in the screenshots before, but here, not only did he have twin pistols, but one guy, well, Morgan, had a little handheld shotgun as well, which is awesome. So you can mix that up. I don't think you can target 2 people separately in Deadeye if you're dual wielding.
I want to do that.
I know, I think everybody does. I think they're probably going to hold back on that. I mean, you know, and then you'll probably unlock some way of
Can't get too
doing
silly,
that. Although, in Red Dead Revolver, old Deep Cut, if you just, like, aimed at a whole bunch of people, he would just shoot at everybody. So maybe that's the way
it reminds me of, you know, like the sort of Splinter Cell was just kind of ripping off Deadeye anywhere where you could execute them all. That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just paint the room with a bunch of dudes, and then his animation set will probably take care of, like, the old trick shots and that. No one ever does that.
Well, you sort of want, I like this version of Deadeye more than the end game one that was in Red Dead Redemption 1, because I thought that took away some agency in a way, where it sort of just marked it
automatically did it.
Yeah, where you want to have control over where you shoot and where you aim, and it just makes the combat more fun, and it isn't just literally pressing a button to wipe out a whole room of dudes.
Yeah, they must have realised that, like, level 2 was actually better than 3 or whatever, but not to worry. Let's talk about clothing.
Come on then.
So they describe that you can dress Arthur Morgan in whichever way you want, which obviously the customization system from GTA 5 is going to come across. You can go and shop for pants and shirts and all that kind of thing, but it's a difference because in the first Red Dead you were buying full outfits, whereas now you can just go out and pick specific hats.
Well,
so, you know.
before filming this, Ewan revealed a mind-blowing mechanic. You can roll up and roll down your sleeves in Red Dead Redemption 2. Innovation!
I'll do you one better. Another thing that we read in the earlier hands-on stuff is that you can get your hat shot off, and it will fall into the ground. It's independently modeled, so it has its own little physics system, you know, it has its own physical qualities.
You know what great game did that, eh?
Indiana Jones on the PS2?
L.A. Noire.
Oh, it's not a great game, though, is it? Don't lie to the people. But if your hat falls off and you go into the mud and you forget about it, if you go somewhere else, your hat will stay there, and you can go back and pick it up and plonk it back on your head. I mean, it'll be minging, but you can do it. For the Americans, minging means disgusting. That's a Northeast term, but not to worry. They also showcase a little bit more of the in-depth melee combat, which is just the new system. It kind of feels like they've brought it across from the Warriors, where now you can ground guys and ground pound and all that kind of thing, which it's been far too long an open-world Rockstar game with a good melee system.
Again, a good melee system. I've got to admit, I really like the look of both of these trailers. I'm so hyped. Yes. The melee, again, looks a little bit stilted for me. It looks like the way the animations work, it looks a bit, I don't know, a bit janky.
A bit good?
It's not as good as it wants to be. It's not like the Warriors-esque. I think it's trying to aim for that, but it isn't quite there yet. But I don't know. I think we'll see it in motion.
It seems like Red Dead 2's whole shtick is this, like, semi-realistic thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, the Warriors was a bit more, like, I don't know, cartoony. It was very over the top. You were picking entire guys up and flinging them over the place.
Yeah, you were.
So I think if they're going down that route of let's actually mimic, quote-unquote, what, like, a real bar fight might be like, then you need that sort of, like, labored, like, weighty kind of approach to it. So there's maybe that. Something else is the first-person mode, which, again, they're bringing across from GTA 5. I don't want to play this in first person. I'll take third person all day long.
You know what?
CD Projekt Red.
I thought the same thing, but I saw it in this trailer and I was like, this looks kind of cool. Like,
it does look cool.
Like, seeing the way your bullets impact other dudes up close and personal like that really did it for me, guys.
It was good. It seems that you can do it even during the semi-scripted story sequences, because in the gameplay trailer, dude is taking out a bunch of people, and Javier Escuela, I think it's him, kicks the door in and takes out 2 of the final guys for you. That seemed like a scripted thing. But yeah, they've said the first-person mode can be used throughout the whole game. Don't know if that affects cutscenes, but it definitely does as far as gameplay is concerned.
It's a nice option to have.
It's cool. I'll tell you about something else that's cool. Canoes, mate.
Oh,
do you want a canoe?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Canoe, because basically, I mean, I keep using the word basically. It's this thing that I use all the time. In the first game, you went in near any water and John Marston just died. He was ragdoll. He was terrible. So they haven't really confirmed if you can swim. There's no footage of anybody swimming in this, but you get a nice little canoe and you can just go between different places.
Well, that's nice.
So you can just do it. If the leaked map is correct, the one that we covered like 3 years ago or whatever, there is like segments of the map that are only accessible across water, so you will need to get your canoe on.
Well, fair enough.
At some point.
The most important part of this game to me is fishing, and how can you do that without at least plunging into the water a little bit?
We should have mentioned that as part of the leisurely activities, but not to worry. Fishing is in the game and seems like something that you can do for fun.
That's fine.
Fishing minigames need to be in every open world game, otherwise it doesn't qualify. Also, cinematic cam is in from GTA 5 and GTA 4, where you can just push the button and the camera will zoom all the way out. It seems like, going off the hands-on stuff again, that they've taken note of how much it can make you crash.
Yeah.
Like, because you try and do it.
You can't play it with that cinematic mode on. Have you tried? If you can do it, you are an absolute master and miles better than me.
In the old GTA 3, or like Vice City and San Andreas, they would despawn cars on the road so that you would more effectively get through. Right. Don't need to worry about too many cars being on the road or too many horses in this case, but they've changed the actual cinematography of it. It does seem like the cam frames shots that you'd see in like a Hollywood movie.
That's cool.
Oh, it's very reminiscent of Alejandro Inarritu, what's-his-face dude who did The Revenant.
Yes.
All that kind of thing. Just check out the trailer. The shots that are in there when they display the cinematic cam look gorgeous, and I'm a big fan. Let's talk about guns.
Come on then.
So,
what about
there's one bit because a big part of Red Dead 2 is gun detailing, crafting, and customization. This wasn't in the gameplay demo, but they did show a bandolier with 3 revolvers on it. So I'm assuming you can carry like a small armament's worth of stuff on you, which does go against their stuff that they've said about loadouts, that you can have 1 pistol or 1 rifle.
Well, I don't know. I guess it's maybe just 1 pistol, 1 rifle. You don't get 1 rifle on your back. You get 3 pistols in there, baby.
Have they not seen Hot Fuzz?
Exactly. Oh, I suppose.
Rifles on the back. But it looks like you can upgrade your bandoliers to carry, I don't know, 3 at least pistols as you rank up and get better at getting more deliciously looking.
I've got to admit, as much as I love sort of animation-based weaponry, only being able to carry what you physically can, a 2-weapon loadout is a little bit limiting, and you don't always want to be going back to your armory or your horse or whatever to pull out other weapons.
I mean, what is this? Halo?
Exactly.
That was in 2000,
That was a long time. I wasn't even born then.
So the big thing to talk about, which you might have realized we've been skirting over, which is the big all-ending point, is the new quest system.
Yes.
Because the way that this is changing the game is that Rockstar are doing away with main missions and side missions, although there is a story path that you can follow, and essentially just giving you a rundown of just one massive dynamic open world. Things just happen as you interact with them, whether that's through gunplay or just using the L2 thing, like having conversations with people. You'll trigger scenarios, or you can go out of your way to rob a train or anything. Whatever you do, whichever way you poke and prod at this world, it'll react to you. And they've said that's their way of revolutionizing what open world games even mean. Now we've seen a little bit of this in Breath of the Wild.
I was about to say that, yes.
Which is, because you've rediscovered this again.
I have.
So it seemed Breath of the Wild basically handled its content in a very similar way. You did have a mission marker at the other end of the map, but however you got there, you just figured it out, whether that was gliding or doing a bit of crafting or, like cooking meals and stuff, but it just came to you as you went.
Yeah.
So, we were having a joke about it because, like, obviously Ubisoft pepper their map with 1 million icons, and that was very off-putting on, like, Assassin's Creed Unity. But if they just remove the icons, have they then caught up to the whole game?
Maybe our minds were just blown. You're like, whoa, I'm in an actual world. Because the thing I really want to get out of Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's why I've been so positive about it, despite it, looking very similar to other games that Rockstar produced as well as other games on the market, is that it looks like it's going for that same thing Breath of the Wild did, where it's just wanting you to live in this world.
Yeah.
And a lot of other games try to do that. Like you said, Ubisoft try to nail that, but it always feels a little bit artificial, whereas the way they're approaching it here sort of invites you to really explore on your own and make this world like your story inside this expansive sandbox they've given you. And that's all I want.
And the thing that I loved about Zelda was that you felt like the open world was one big level. Like it was just sort of like, there are like platforming sequences, like you're going to climb up a cliff face or something, and then it's like, okay, I'm indulging in climbing and platforming. And then you might go into like a certain like arena or just a group of people, a group of enemies, and all of a sudden it's a combat level kind of thing. And you just sort of took it all in as it came. And I think that's what they're going for with this. It's one big, seamless, Wild West themed open world. And I love the idea of that. I think if they can pull that off, then the whole landscape changes, because it means that everything like to-do lists and side quest lists and collectibles, all of that's going to look antiquated as hell if everybody takes to this new way of just taking everything in naturally. And the likes of Assassin's Creed or anybody else on the market will just look really old.
It's such a simple thing, but just taking away those markers in Breath of the Wild meant just discovering fetch quests felt like something you just stumbled upon, something you'd done yourself. Like, whoa, look at this bit of content that I might not have found if not for me actually exploring and being an adventurer. And it's like, the quests themselves, a bit of a bad opinion maybe, I didn't quite like them, but the sense of adventure that came with them was absolutely nailed.
Because I think going forward, it seems like Rockstar are experimenting with, I mean, they pretty much laid out the groundwork of how to do this genre.
Yeah.
Both on the 2D games and especially, obviously, with GTA 3. And everybody just followed suit and said, okay, this is how you do an open world game. We've seen some risk with Breath of the Wild, and it seems like Rockstar themselves have been working on this for years too. So going forward, it seems like the open world genre is going to be changed forevermore. But we'll wait and see how the competition responds to it and how we'll respond to it as well. Let us know what you think of the gameplay trailer down in the comments below. I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com.
And we'll catch you soon.
Bye.
Bye.